Spud.
Thomas?
So, there's 46 days in Lent, not 40, lying bastards. 43-year-old, and I just learned today there's 46 days in Lent.
Well, I had my pancakes yesterday.
Right.
Because it's supposed to be today, but I also had donuts last Thursday. And it's all up in the air. And isn't it to do with isn't it something like when the first virgin has her moon blood, that's calculated when Jesus died? And not if Jesus got his first erection. Yeah. Jesus was erected on the cross to do with the blood moon flow.
It's to do with isn't it the first full moon of something?
We can talk about these things and have a laugh. But if we say anything about someone else, we get shit.
Well, I suppose it's because it's technically our religion, isn't it? We can say what you want about it. It's like, when you give out about your family to other people and then they say something about your mother and you go, you can't talk about my mother. Yeah. You just spent the last hour talking about your mother. Well, you can't.
Yeah. I had a friend like that as well, and he's still my friend. He would always kind of, whenever we'd be out drinking, whatever, in town, and you get talking to people, and they always ask, why did you move to Poland? And he'd be like, well, we have Polish women, and, speaking for both of us, we're punching well above our weight. And eventually, like the third or fourth time of him doing this, I was like, man, no, you can speak for yourself there. I'm not punching above. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
I'm fucking deadly. Fucking hung like a donkey. What the fuck is it? No, I don't put myself down underneath my woman. Unless she asks. Actually, by the way, just on the way up here, she says to me, Patrick, I need a sausage in my mouth. I was a little bit late. So I was really glad when you texted me to say you're going to be late as well. So, I don't know. And I just wanted to embarrass her by saying that, really. I mean, how often does that ever happen in your life? Your wife will come to you and say, I need a sausage.
Probably not that often, but it's like, I assume it wasn't a sexy sausage, or maybe it was. Maybe you're
say nothing. Yeah. Dig up, Spud. What was I saying there before I went off on a tangent? We're only 2 minutes in. And
you were saying the whole thing about your friend saying you're punched above your weight. There's a bit of another presupposition in that that's kind of insulting the Polish women too, in that they don't feel secure enough to go for someone that they're equally on the level with or something like that. That they're, I don't know. It's all very weird.
I know, but you see, the thing is, Tommie, like, I'm an exotic Westerner in Poland. Isn't that mad? Irish people are exotic. Isn't that fucked up? Yeah. It's so crazy.
Windswept and interesting.
It's ridiculous, isn't it? But I don't know. I mean, there's very few. I was thinking about this. There's very few of the lads I grew up with or hanging out with. There's really only one of, say, a group of 15 of us, two who ended up with Irish women. Everyone else just went foreign because it's just, I can't be dealing with that. It's just easier.
I wouldn't have been around that many kind of foreign women at all, really. It wouldn't have been something that would have been. See, I didn't live in Dublin though, so that's probably a lot to do. Like, that's not to say that I never met a foreign person in my life or anything. But it
well, I mean, that was the great thing in Dublin, because you just had your summer romances, and there were these perfect encapsulations of fucking romance, man, because they're just intense and strong and just full of lust and love and sex and no violence, drinking and horniness, but like, because it's coming to an end, because like she has to go back to college. Mm-hmm. At the end of the summer, because she's been au pairing or selling meth or whatever the fuck she's been doing in Dublin, and you're just like, yes, this is amazing. We can just have all the great bits of this relationship, and like, you're going home. Yeah. And then like one of them stayed and it went disasterful. But disasterful, that's not a word, is it?
Disastrous.
It is now. It didn't. Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? You're staying here? It's like you said that thing a while ago. I had heard it before, but not in a long time. The thing about the dog catching the car.
Oh yeah.
Wait, you're staying?
I don't know what to do.
What do I do now? And I mean, there was even one time I was going to move to France after a young one, and that would have been fucking mental. Thank God that didn't happen. Well, maybe not. Thank God. Could you imagine like finding out in like a couple of years' time? Yeah, Spud, he got a sprog and he's like 12 in France. What? How? No, not 12. How many years am I with Aga? I got my marriage.
If you had a
marriage
4-year-old
wrong,
in France and you go, really, how did that happen?
I got my marriage. I was talking to you lads there the other day, saying, "Yeah, I'm 6 years married." And when I asked her and shit, no, it's 8 years. I'm like, "Oh, right, yeah. Well, time flies. And you're having fun,
It's our 10-year anniversary this year. As far as if my maths are correct, which possibly aren't, we can't really work out how long we're together though, because we the kind of significant things go. Oh well, we were definitely at this wedding, and we were, now, but they're all wrong. They don't line up properly. So I don't know. 15 years, 16 years. 20 years, a million, a lifetime.
A lifetime. It's grand, sure. Adam Curtis, his...
Did you finish it yet? Did you get to...
Yeah, I finished it, yeah. Like, it's miserable for, like, the first 12 hours, and then, like, the last minute is like, oh, okay.
Yeah. But even at the end of it, he says, yeah, there's a positive upbeat, and then the very last scene is like, oh no, the very last footage. I think even in its... this, for people who don't know, it's Adam Curtis, who is known for documentaries such as Century of the Self, which we've talked about in the podcast before, Hypernormalization, which I think is the most recent one previous to this, and 10 other things. And if you go to YouTube and go to Adam Curtis Documentaries, you will find, I'm assuming, a not legit channel.
No, he's even put the new ones up on his own channel now, because they were being pirated so much. He just said, "Fuck it."
Are they? So it is his legit channel. Right, grand. We can link to it then. It's kind of way to describe Adam Curtis Documentaries is they're the best YouTube style documentaries you're ever going to see in your life.
He wouldn't like that. No,
but I mean, he wouldn't like that. And I'll explain it's because that YouTube style documentary where it's archive footage with someone talking over it. That's kind of, I assume he's the reason why that, maybe took off, or to be a bit generous. But he has access to archives that no one else in the world really has.
He has the whole of the BBC shit. Yeah. It's amazing. And
someone asked him, I think it could be that Charlie Brooker interview you put up, or it could be another one where he's saying that, do you not get really depressed looking through all this stuff? And he goes, no, because I get to see the stuff no one else sees. And what you realise is that the stories have been tailored in a certain way, and that certain footage has been left out, and so it's more revelatory than depressing, But I mean, he doesn't sound like a cheeky chappy who has great laughs, or he's quite serious kind of.
He's a very serious podcast. Man, isn't he? He's very serious.
And Russell, he's having none of Russell's nonsense, and Russell's just trying his best to make him laugh at all, and he's just not getting into it.
There's one I saw on YouTube and had one of those clickbaity titles, Adam Curtis takedown of Russell Brand or something, and he's like,
I've been told, I've seen that.
It's a good one, isn't it? Because he just points. He says to Russell, "This is what you are. You do this, and this is the role that you've taken on, and you do it very well." And Russell just kind of goes, that's me. It's not a takedown. It's just
that's from the Under the
That's
Skin
from
podcast.
Of course.
They were good friends though. That's why they can do that. It's not just that he had if someone. I don't know. If you just started, interviewing Duncan Barford and you start going, you know what your problem is? You go, hey, come on now, man.
No, but it wasn't done in it's your problem. It's that.
Yeah.
This is what you're the trickster who internalizes, but by internalizing it, you actually end up bringing it out, and you're searching for something. And he just, I thought it was. It sounds like it's a criticism, but it's not a criticism. It's just. Not putting someone in their place. I don't know if we have the right words
It's putting someone in their place in a non-negative way. It's just saying what they are. Yeah.
And Curtis is great because he's like Ken Burns does it as well, but not as good. Ken Burns doesn't rely on news footage as much. But Curtis obviously has all of the BBC archive, and he can just. Pick and choose what he uses and stuff, and he even uses nobody likes seeing repeated footage, especially say because it's used so much on say the modern ones, Discovery Channel, National Geographic, yada yada, and you watch those reality ones or documentaries and you're just like, Jesus, you cheap bastards, you're repeating footage, but he uses it quite well. He uses it to bring a point home, and one of the main characters is the wife of Mao Zedong. I can't remember her name, and it shows her kind of hero's journey and failure and the ups and downs of it. You know, like she was this kind of Hollywood style actor who was just dismissed by her peers and by the directors because she probably wasn't pretty enough or whatever, or maybe she wasn't talented enough. And then she goes on, she becomes this fucking like Evita style fucking power hungry woman who rises to the top of China and then is dismissed by the men and then gets back in through her husband and
literally becomes the most powerful woman, one of the most powerful women in the world. Yeah. Brings
Nixon to fucking America. Like, this shit's unheard of. And then this massive, huge fucking fall from grace, you know? And that's just one story. Like, it does all the Putin stuff, it does all the English. Like, look, I mean, I don't want.
Oh, you should say it's called Can't Get You Out of My Head for people who we're terrible at this. We just assume everyone is watching the same stuff.
Like, I don't want to be kicking England in the ribs again. But like watching documentaries like that, you just kind of go, "Oh, I'd hate to live in England." That's hard. They've gotten so much wrong by trying to do the best,
and in a sense, didn't talk about it or didn't. So it kind of feels like it's in some way. Well, particularly since Adam Curtis came out, but even before then, that it's all kind of coming out now as if it's new information or something. Like, it's interesting with the English thing is that I would never in my life heard of Michael X at all. Wasn't someone who registered remotely on the all that entire story was new to me, and John Lennon turns up in the middle of it as well.
He does the thing about the 1920s where this nostalgia for Rule Britannia kind of comes from, and I didn't know that was where it came from, but it's very interesting because you would have had similar movements across all over Europe at the time. Ireland had it a little bit before with the likes of Yeats and A. You know your man A.E. Russell. Something Russell is his surname. So he was a mystic, and him and Yeats came together, and they were trying to build a.
Like, was he in the Golden Dawn as well? What Yeats? Like, is that?
No. But him and Yeats wanted to set up their own Celtic mystics thing.
Oh yeah,
it's really interesting. Really interesting. Look it up if you want to go on down a rabbit hole. So A, like it's that Norwegian letter A and E together.
Yes.
Like
it's that Norwegian, is it? Right.
Yeah. So that was his nickname.
That solves one thing in my head. Thanks very much.
Well, it's definitely Viking. I don't know if it's Norwegian, but he was a mystic. And he would have visions and he would paint them. And he would paint the two of Donnan and he would try and contact them. And him and Yeats would work together to try and build this kind of pantheon of stuff. And one of the things that came out of it was Angus, the Irish god of Angus, he started getting affiliated with love and Cupid and all that. But like, it's totally made up.
Oh, right.
If the older stuff is like, he was Angus was the man, but he had nothing to do with getting people together. But anyway, so this had gone on in Ireland. This had gone on in Germany. This had gone on in France. Because people are trying to find, because of these new things that we had called nation states, people are trying to find, okay, what's our identity? And you saw this more recently as well with like the breakup of Yugoslavia. You know, for the first couple of years after it, the Croatians are like, well, fuck, what are we? Like, we're Croatian. Okay, so what is our identity? And then there's the kind of resurgence of traditional music, bands, art, culture, all this kind of stuff. And there's a thin line between nationalism and far right stuff. So there was an English guy going around in the 1920s, and he was going around collecting folklore from the people and things like traditional dances, fucking Morris dancing. It's horrible, weird, strange pagan dance. It's so fucking bizarre looking. And this led to this fake image of rural, beautiful, pleasant England ruled by the king, the rulers of the village, and everyone lived in safe harmony and whatever. And like, this has, I think the whole point of the documentary for me is that, like, with the best intentions, the road to hell is paved with
good intentions.
Good intentions. And everyone in this documentary seems to have good intentions when they start something. But because other people get involved, and maybe because they get a bit greedy or they just get a bit too human or something, it all goes fucking arseways. And like, while this fellow was off at the beginning collecting poetry and dances and traditional stuff, it ends up in fucking Nigel Farage and Brexit. It's mental. You know?
Yeah, it's what I love about Adam Curtis, particularly about the Century of the Self, is that it pieces stuff together that I certainly am never going to get to, ever, in my head. You know, and kind of introduce you to characters that are like that whole Chinese stuff. And maybe this is a failing on my part, but I doubt it is, because we just don't learn Chinese history at school.
Yeah.
Like, that's such a huge part of world drama and world, you know, how we ended up here and all that. I'm absolutely unaware of it. You know, I had a kind of a vague sense of, you know, Little Red Book, you know, Cultural Revolution, something, you know, something terrible, something, you know. But, like, it's an interesting point he makes about the whole social system that they have, and where it's kind of horrifying to us in that, you know, that you have social points and, you know, all this kind of thing. But that's because we're putting a Western perspective on it. And he kind of doesn't say that it's good or bad, but just you have to say from their point of view, it's completely different and natural. And, you know, we would have a very hard time dealing with it. But it's just like in the Century itself, like when you hear about people like Bernays, which he doesn't even mention in this documentary at all.
Yeah,
he doesn't need to, you know, 'cause it's like, he was going, because we were saying on the Discord to each other, it's like the secret history of bastards or something that really should have been called, or, you know, it's just like
it is though. Every character is worse.
Here's one, and you think that's bad. Episode 2, have a look at this guy.
It's exactly that. I was watching him just going, thank God my life's in a good place, because this would have made me miserable 5 years ago.
Yeah,
do you know?
Yeah, because I was like, glad I watched it the week after I decided, you know, fuck you, positivity was going to be part of my life, because the week before would end me. But there is, even in that, even with the Bernays stuff, and, you know, where he's laying out here's what's going on. There's never, I don't find it doom pony in the sense of like the way an awful lot was doom pony. I think he's saying we can do better than this. You know, here's what's going on. It's never your humans are shitty, we deserve everything we get, the world is fucked. It's like, let's have a look at what we've done. Let's have a look at what patterns are. Let's have a look at what's going on in the world. And obviously his ultimate conclusion is, we don't have to do this, you know.
Yeah, that's the other thing. So the first thing I took away from it was that this people usually start off with good intentions and it goes to shit. Yeah. Do you know? And he illustrates this by like uprisings in Germany, China, I think there's South American stuff as well, where it's like, you know, these people started out wanting a better world, and then suddenly they find, wait, no, hold on, no, we're the baddies. What the fuck happened there? So that's one thing, and then the second thing was exactly what you were saying there. Is that like, sorry, another thing I got was that just how it's such a cliche about history repeating itself, but I think most people understand it is that history repeats itself. Yeah, but it's like, you know, once every 500 years. But it's like, no, it's like...
No.
Like, it's, you know, it's like Nixon, Reagan, Trump. There's a lot of similarities going on there, you know? And, like, it's kind of happening so quick that we're not seeing it. We can only see history repeating from a longer kind of time span. And then, that really... What's mad is that we're not doing anything about it.
Oh no, what's mad is we're not really learning anything about it.
Yeah, we're not learning it.
Every time it comes up again, you go, well, I'm shocked. Are you shocked by this? This is ridiculous. How could we not have seen this happen? It's only happened 20 times this century.
Yeah. And then
well, you can see it though, it's getting quicker though, because it's particularly in culture, in like music, in fashion, in films, you know, to a point that it's nearly total nostalgia at this point for, you know, there's no kind of, that it's almost like when something groundbreaking comes out, it's like I don't know, like a world event, you know. It's like the last probably big thing that happened, say, movie-wise, was The Matrix, and we've talked about that. That probably wasn't great for us, ultimately, in the last podcast, you know. But like when is something that big come out, you know, movie-wise, maybe, I suppose it's personal taste too, but when you can see it so obviously how it repeats in culture, you know, in very kind of, I suppose in a sense, mundane stuff of fashion and thing, but then, you know, how if you then apply the same thing to politics, there is a kind of a fashion sense, if you want.
Yeah. It's a weird one, because like he does this great thing where he shows that, like, you know, democracy is, as we are supposed to know it, doesn't exist in the powerful countries anymore. It's all run, everything is just run by civil servants, and the politicians basically just the face of his department.
And that choice was made, like, very deliberately made by both America and the UK. Like,
And the rest of us have just kind of sleepwalked into it because we think, oh, well, they're making lots of money, so let's make lots of money. Whereas that, like, I don't know, it's that, like, if you compare, say, I was talking this with my dad last night, is that, like, you know, since we're from a small country, like, smaller countries have to kind of box clever, you know? So, like, you say, for example, if you compare a couple of countries now, say Austria, Switzerland, Ireland, Sweden, New Zealand, right? We're all more or less the same size. Their populations might be a bit bigger. But a lot of those countries, they kind of make sure that they keep as much money in their country as they can, you know? And, right, like, particularly, say, Austria, who are like, right, we will buy as little as possible from outside. We will try and make all of our own stuff. Whereas New Zealand is somewhat similar as well. And Sweden would be too. And so, like, and the stuff that comes in, they try and make sure it's done as fairly as possible. Whereas, like, Ireland has taken this approach of, like, well, Facebook, Google, all the pharmaceuticals, come here and free, and you don't have to pay any tax. You don't have to pay any tax, and you can bend us over barrel, and like, the EU will come in and say you owe us tax, but we don't want the tax. You know, it's like, it's a strange thing.
It's like, you can see the figure that Ireland has the fastest growing economy in the world right now.
Yeah,
because of that, so we don't.
Yeah, but it's not real though.
It's not real at all. Like, it's like we have. Well, the rebuke to that is that, like, well, Facebook are still, you know, hiring whatever it is. I don't know what it is. 5,000 people. PayPal still have 4 people. Whoever works at PayPal, then you know, and so there's that. But it's still when it's touted then as the fastest growing or the biggest economy or whatever. It was the biggest growth during the pandemic. I think that's what it is. And you kind of go, well, no, yeah, only because Facebook became ridiculously rich, not because Ireland did. You know,
exactly. Yeah, I mean, the odd time I used to put ads on Facebook, and I see it now with the lads I'm working for. Like, they pay their PayPal, or sorry, their Facebook receipts are Limerick, Ireland. It's like, what?
Right? Yeah.
You know, I was like, what? Why?
And you pay 23% VAT because it's Ireland too.
And yeah, it's I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't like the way Ireland has run itself. But, like,
well, here's the thing though. Why potentially Brexit might be wonderful for the country, in that now we have to bypass the UK, and so we have to kind of make our own little inroads and into Europe and different kind of, you know, places and whatever. And because we relied so much on, in a sense, on the UK and stuff, that it might, you know, once we don't fall into right, the UK is gone for us. Germany, will you be our new best friend, and we'll just hang out with you forever, or whatever it is. You know, like, we can kind of make a bit more.
Tommie, is that, like, so say, for example, like, you know, Ireland's supposed to have, like, the best dairy in the world because the cows are grass fed 365 days a year. Most countries, they have to get put in or whatever, you know. But the problem is that, like, you know, I can go to the shop and I can buy Polish butter for 2 zlotys, or I can buy Kerrygold Irish butter for like 5-6 zlotys. One double. You know, that's okay for some countries, say France, Germany, Spain, Austria, where people are earning good money and have more money in their pocket. But, like, Poland's not a poor country, but it's not a rich country.
Yeah.
You know?
And is the butter, like, noticeably better though? Like or noticeably worse?
To be honest now, my dad won't like me for this. I prefer the Polish butter.
That's it.
I think it's, I don't know why, but.
Did you see Bill Gates' announcement yesterday that he thinks that all wealthy countries should be eating synthetic meat? That's the new push.
Why can we not just eat plants, no? That's what I think that what he means, if I'm reading it right by that, is like the plant-based foods, you know, not real meat, you know, so stuff that's, you know, looks like chicken but isn't chicken, like not necessarily. What about, have insects gone off the market completely? Have they?
Well, in what I read, he didn't, and the points that people were saying in the response was, fine, like but you have to make it's the same thing. It's the butter response because, like, at the minute, synthetic meat is more than twice the price of real meat. So until that happens, you know, I'm going to eat meat. You know, you can go in and you can get your corn, or you can, you know, like there's the what was it called? Beyond Burger. And it's like it's €22 a pound. I don't know what it is. Whereas normal hamburgers are 11. So it's like literally twice the price.
Do you know, it's like the cars, because we're going to have to change the car this year. And I've been looking up, like, I've been wanting to get a hybrid for ages because they're obviously good for the environment.
Yeah.
But the problem is that they're about 40,000 zlotys more expensive.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so that means that I have to spend 40,000 in petrol over 3 years to save that, and I don't. So, like, I'd be actually doing more harm by buying the hybrid. And plus, as well, hybrids are muck in a country this big because they're terrible on hills, and they don't have a great. No, well, they're not fully electric, but you know what I'm getting at. They're not good for this country. They're good for small countries like Ireland or Switzerland. Well, no, Switzerland's lots of mountains, but you know what I mean.
You can charge a car for free at the minute in Ireland.
Can you? Yeah.
But it's coming at the end of this year or something, or soon. But you could for a number of years. It was totally free.
Yeah.
Just to get, to incentivize people to
get them. Yeah. I don't know. It's all kind of up in the air. Like, I mean, you see, like, there's still diesel cars for sale. You're like, yeah, a diesel car. Yeah, but you won't be able to sell it. And like, I don't know. I don't know if the change is going to come when they say it is, because, like... Well,
you can't sell new diesel cars from 2025 here or something like that.
From 2025. So that's still... So those cars are still going to last 10 years. So it means if you bought a car now, you'll be able to sell it for the next 15 years. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I wish I had one of these computery things that could predict what's going to happen, like in Adam Curtis' thing. But then, I mean, that would just lead to hell. And
he makes an interesting point about Facebook and stuff. Again, when you start reading stuff around that, and you don't know if he says it in the documentary, says it in an interview or something else, right? Yeah. But he talks about how he doesn't think Facebook... Oh, no, it is in the documentary. Anyway. He talks about how he doesn't think Facebook is as influential as we believe, and he says that it kind of the figures come in that the manipulation that they think they have doesn't actually work, in practice if you actually look at it. But he says it doesn't really matter, because once you have it in your head that you're being manipulated, even when someone tells you you're not, that could still be manipulation. Yeah. But he's saying that an awful lot of the power of Facebook and all that is because we've given it to it, and that he says in reality it doesn't really have that. That we have this kind of feeling that, oh, look at this amazing software the algorithm can do to us, and he's kind of points out that maybe not, but we've kind of bought into it, and so now we've given it all the power, and even so he says it's, in a sense, it's not as powerful as we've been led to believe, which is interesting. We
touched on that last week, didn't we? I think that's the thing. I think that's kind of our generation. I don't think because we have this thing, we don't know what to do with it and how powerful it is, but the younger people are like, I watch TikTok, I don't care. They don't, it doesn't matter. Like
Snapchat.
So, and he made a point in that thing with Charlie Brooker as well. He's that, like, he thinks the internet will kind of lose a lot of its power and be seen as kind of quaint, which is absolutely brilliant. I hope that day comes. I mean, obviously I work on the internet and I need the internet for work, but it's limited to, I don't know, I think hopefully after all this stuff is over, the pandemic, people will start getting out of their houses a bit more and meet each other and, have proper fucking human contact again. Because it's no way to live to be glued to a screen.
Yeah, but I think it's because the internet has now become synonymous with Facebook and Twitter. Like, when you think of the internet, it's social media. And like we had the internet in some form for whatever 10 years before any social media. Like before Bebo and MySpace. But I suppose you had like the early things like GeoCities, but not in the same way. There was no kind of, where you were on the same platform as your mum. That that's very new. That's just, and but I mean, I think, because the way I'm saying, why am I on Facebook? And it's mostly from, I wouldn't know if I had a blog post how to tell people about it without Facebook. But I mean, I had a blog for years before Facebook. And different things. Of course, no one read it, so there might be something to it. But I'd love to try an experiment of maybe doing something and not putting it on Facebook and see what would happen, see what I could through. But
when I do the rare blog post, I'll put it on Twitter once, and I can't. I know I can put it on Facebook. Yeah, but I don't. Like, I have no stats on my website now at all. I have no idea how many people. And I'm just like, I'm just writing it for myself now at this stage. And if people like it, awesome. So, but I need to write more. I have the next 5 or 6 articles written in my head. I just need time to sit down and do them. Speaking of not having time to do stuff, what's this Sigil thing?
So this is the thing I kind of briefly mentioned to you at the end of the last podcast after we finished recording, and probably should have, I suppose, give people a bit more lead time into it. But I was kind of thinking that there isn't that much preparation involved in it, so other than getting your whole mind space together.
Yeah, and everyone panicking on the Discord yesterday. What?
It's so odd, and I knew it was coming, so I wasn't shocked in that you go, well, I'm going to make this as simple as possible, and yet we as a species don't like that. We like to immediately complicate.
Give them notice. Be like, look, on Wednesday I'm doing something. Get ready.
Yeah.
You know,
because I know because we know from Star Ruby that because we give it a longer lead time that the initial enthusiasm was great, but because it was like a week or two before we started, it kind of over that week it dwindled. So I think if you kind of go, this is happening Wednesday, you're in, and it seems to be everyone went, yeah, okay, but it also could be the nature of the challenge compared to the Star Ruby one. But so the very basic idea is that you do a sigil every day for 40 days, and I was kind of tying it in with Lent because it was happening. And of course, it turns out that Lent is 46 days, and we've been lied to by the Christian. I think that's amazing. Like, it's the same.
How is that 46? This has
because
to. They
don't count Sundays because you've already devoted that day to God, so it's not part of the.
Is that the answer? Is it?
Yeah.
That's a shit answer.
Yeah. But if the way you could look at it, they don't count Sundays, right? Then you can eat your sweets, have your drink, whatever it is that you've given up on the Sunday. If you're not counting it, I'm not counting it. But it's so the very basic thing was do a sigil every day for 40 days, but you could, now it's 46 or still 40 if you want. Don't panic over any of these things. But I said you could also tie it into the elements, which I thought was an interesting thing, which came out of a conversation we had about how to kind of look at your life a bit more balanced. Am I doing enough in this area today so that you tick off something every day where you've kind of have a bit more holistic approach to goal setting or to, how you approach your life or that kind of thing. So I kind of like that. But also, if you were told, well, do 40 sigils, I could probably not think of 40 things you actually want. I certainly couldn't. You'd have to, you really think. But if you have it, well, can you do 8 sigils around emotions, 8 sigils around thinking or, learning, 8 sigils around your ambitions, and 8 sigils around, your general kind of shelter or, homestead or whatever. You can go, well, I could, that's definitely an easier way to approach it. So that was kind of my thoughts around it. But the thing that people latched on to really quickly, which I found very interesting, more on Facebook, was this, because I said, well, I'm going to give up drink because I've been drinking too much because of lockdown. And, the Lent is the kind of fasting thing. And I just said, it's a kind of a thing to do or a sacrifice, throwaway word. And then people were, sacrifice? Oh, I can sacrifice, can I? I was like, oh, man. Really?
You're touching their nipples. Ooh, sacrifice.
Yeah. Is this when my eye comes out? Do I spoon my eye? No, and I was just kind of like, I suppose that's more like, maybe if you're not coming from a kind of a Christian background, it's like the Lent is you give up sweets or you give up something, in some way. But it's not like... You don't have to do anything.
It's a form of penance. It's like,
that's it. Yeah.
Okay, so in our day it was sweets and crisps and
because we were kids
and whatnot.
What else could we do?
Exactly. But like I remember reading like Patrick Kavanagh poetry and stuff, and his thing they'd give up putting milk in tea and they'd eat less cheese or something. Right, because they had fuck all food anyway. So, but it was the treat that they had to give up.
Yeah, and it's kind of to make your life a little less comfortable. The whole thing was Jesus went into the desert for 40 days and didn't have any food or water, which only sons of God could probably do. But
if anyone out there wants to get the barb that the Iona Institute all wear around their leg and whip themselves, go for it. Video it, put it on Facebook, tag your mom. You want to make things as hard as possible on your life
because life is so easy.
Because life is easy, and you need to make it terrible so that you can make it into the kingdom of God. Yeah. Because you're worthless, and until you know how worthless you are, you cannot become good.
Yeah, and you should feel constant shame and guilt around yourself at all times, even for your good qualities, because good qualities is pride, so therefore bad.
Welcome to Catholic Ireland in 1984, everybody.
What a shitty fucking religion, man. Like a thing that bubbles inside me, just go.
Here, I came across a good video the other day. Someone was talking about the Gnostic Gospel of Thomas. I don't know if it's Saint Thomas or Thomas. That's lovely. Have a read of it. It's very short. Okay. You get it like a 4 or 5 page PDF, and it's all about the kind of.
Is it the same Thomas from the Bible? The I don't believe you. Show me that big.
No, I don't know. I didn't do too much further reading into it, but it's it's apparently one of the oldest of the Gospels. What is wrong with me? Hospitals. Going to the hospital to read the Gospel. it's meant to be one of the oldest ones of the Gnostic ones that were found at the Nag.
All right, I have that book, so I assume I have
it's very short, and it's all about like how it's basically Carl Jung's individuation, you know. And this is the teachings of Jesus.
No.
You know? Oh yeah, go ahead.
I have a book for you to read. I'm reading it now. Abraxas recommended it on the Discord, but he also then when he finished it, he private messaged me, goes, no, read this, man, you have to read it. And it's The Daimonic Reality by Patrick Harpur, and you are going to love it, Spud, because I've read about 60 or 70 pages of it. And you know John Keel, you know the Mothman.
Yeah.
So
I have the eight tower. I'm just getting my way through that at the minute.
So it's very similar to that in that he goes, let's have a look at these UFOs, and you know, you have the stories of, you know, Jim was walking down the street and this googly-eyed man came out and all. But he goes, it's that, and then it goes into fairies. There's an awful lot about Ireland. He brings up about the Tuatha Danann. There's all of this kind of stuff, and then now he's just segued into the whole Jung thing and is piecing all of this together, how that all fits in. So it's UFOs, fairies to Jung. That's as far as I've got, and then to his take on what it is. And it's one of those books, and it's been a long time since, you know, I've read where you kind of go, sometimes you're reading at night and you go, oh, when's the chapter? I'll just finish this chapter. And then I notice I'm not even looking at that, and I'm getting to the end of the chapter and go, oh, one more chapter.
I can have one more. I can have one more before I go to sleep. The young lad won't wake up early tomorrow. He won't. I know he'll sleep. And you do a little prayer to the HDA and say, make him sleep a little bit longer tomorrow so I can read this chapter. And then you think, no, I can't do that. She can't influence the life of another being. Who else can I talk to? Aeon, you busy?
Yeah.
Can you make the
Jehovah, I know we don't get on, but I hear you like involving yourself.
You
in
like kids.
yeah.
Jesus
if I put the lamb's blood on the nursery door.
Come here, there's another thing about Adam Curtis.
Yeah.
I want to talk to you about. He does this thing.
Just before we go, that the demonic reality is unscribed, by the way. So
it's unscribed. Okay, I know. He did. I added it to my book list, so I did when Abraxas recommended it.
And it's not on Amazon, but you can get it on Book Depository for some reason.
Yeah, Book Depository is where I have it. Yeah. I'll just write it down. Demonic reality, isn't it?
Yeah, it's DAI-monic. If you put in demonic reality, you'll never find it because it doesn't come up in Google. But Daimonic reality does. Patrick Harpur.
Yeah. No, I have it on my book list anyway, so be great.
Right.
The Adam Curtis thing, and Uber Boyo speaks about this a lot in his videos, but he didn't go in as deep into it, as in-depthly into it. And it's this idea we spoke about before about the left brain, right brain, and how...
Oh, and it actually shows the footage of this, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, and how when you split the brain in two for people who have very, very bad epilepsy, it seems like there's two characters living in everyone.
Minimum.
Yeah, exactly. Minimum. That's the thing. Uber Boyo's videos don't say a minimum.
Right,
he says two.
Yeah, he's really in the left-right dichotomy, isn't he? Like left brain, right brain. There was the soldier and the general. It's not what or something like that.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's brilliant. It's a brilliant idea. Do you know? But the guy who came up with this first, and he found it totally fucking by accident. Like, do you know? He says, the guy who found this and discovered it, he says, like, no, there's multiple people in all of us. I thought that's fascinating because then that
Jung says that too, though, doesn't he? Like he says there's a multiple personality, pretending it's one under the guise.
And do you remember? Like I've brought this up tons of times. The Sadhguru thing, whereas like you just okay, there is no self. You can just be who you want to be and just take off that hat and put on another one. And this is exactly the fucking same thing. You know, we have all the personalities that are within ourselves, and if we just take a step back when we're in a situation, and say, right, well, which Spud is best here? Okay, put on that hat and then, I don't know, drive a train, whatever the fuck it is that you need to do.
Spud the train driver.
Spud with the cool hat, train driver thing, you know, and then, you know, you get off and then you have to, like, be a cowboy and then you change your hats and like, hey, Spud's a cowboy, yeah, yeehaw, motherfuckers, or whatever they say, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting in that one part of the brain is basically, it's the person who has to take all of these personalities and kind of cheat you into believing that it's one person. Like that's just what it does. You know?
That's the thing. It takes like, I don't know, say like 50 things happen. It takes 50 things that has happened or that are happening in your surrounding, and it weaves a story through them all to make them connected. But the thing is that they're actually not connected. It's total fucking chaos. Yeah. It's total chaos. But this self, this ego, has to find a way to put it all together so that it makes sense to you and you can react. And like, whoa, man, like maybe we should just be all like everything's chaos. So fuck it. Like maybe the Discordians are not maybe. The Discordians are probably dead right.
Yeah. Just ended up there, like the two guys didn't end up in great places out of it though. But not according to Adam Curtis, I've heard that before about the two guys. Yeah, it's interesting that whole left brain, right brain, or the person. I think though maybe the left brain and right brain thing is probably not fully the same thing as the multiple personing in the part of the brain that wants to. It's obviously there's overlap, but it's I don't think it's just quite the same people who would espouse those things wouldn't probably agree. But let's say we can put it that way on all things. But that thing where the experiment where to split the person so they can only see the left hand and right hand, so your one eye can only see one thing, and supposedly that fits up that way, and they can influence or they can get someone to do something that isn't their choice, say, and then ask the other part of the brain, why did you do that? And the other part of the brain will say, because I wanted to. It will come up an excuse on why
it lies.
It decided to do it. It's just like, no, and like you one in Adam Curtis documents, because she's going like, I wanted to go to the closet, I wanted to take out a particular dress, and then I noticed I was taking out another dress. It had nothing to do with me. And
she's like, I would be wearing shorts, and then I would put on another pair of shorts, even though I didn't want to. Yeah. It's like, it's mad, and you're just lying to yourself all the time, like, and you don't know it, and it's mad. It's just we've only scratched the surface of like.
Well, that's it. That's as I said last week about Brad Borner making the point, which was kind of obviously you've heard before, but when you hear it again, it resonates a bit more. It's going like including the thing, the person, the brain, the intellect, the awareness that is thinking about the world being illusion. It is equally the illusion, and it's like. Right, so where do you start with that?
Yeah, where indeed. Come here. I think that what's the proper name of the Buddha? What was his name? Gautama. Siddhartha, not Siddhartha.
Siddhartha. Arthur from Cockney, London. All right, Sid.
Oi, Sid Arthur. Look, the more I read about this, and I have a good book at the minute. It's called What the Buddha Taught. It's pretty short. It's only about 150 or 200 pages or something, but it's great. And it finishes with a lot of parables and bits of text where he's giving teaching. It's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. It's really solidified kind of Buddhism thought for me.
But come here till I ask.
I was thinking the other day.
I had a sledgehammer in your hand.
No. I've stopped. I completely stopped gambling there for a long time, and I put a whole 20 zlotys into my account the other day. And I thought, fuck it, there's a match on, I'll put a 10. So I immediately lost half it, but I won most of it back in the last couple of days. It's 20 zlotys. What is that? Less than €5 kind of thing. It's nothing.
No, but that's how it starts. You'll be Dogecoin, Bitcoin, and everything.
Jesus.
Yeah. But owning Game Master. Game Master? Game Master.
He goes on a bit about intoxicating drink, okay? So you're not allowed to drink if you're a good Buddhist. You're allowed to have sex, but you're not allowed to have immoral sex. I'm not quite sure what that means, but
you know what it means.
This is a podcast for children, Tommie. Yeah, sure. And he doesn't say anything about gambling, so I'm like, woohoo! But also, obviously, he suffered from a chronic gambling disorder.
Well, you see, the intoxicant thing isn't necessary. It depends on who you interpret as the intoxicant. Gambling can come under because it's an intoxicant to the mind.
Damn it!
Alan Watts is a great one where because obviously he was an alcoholic, and when he gets to it, he goes back to the original kind of thing of what it was, and there's a particular type of drink or something that he alleges is what do not have this drink. He goes, so we're all good that he does it completely in jest, obviously, but it is funny. Like he says, whatever that was that we no longer have.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. So it's obviously the Buddha had a gambling problem, and it sucks. But he was able to take off his gambling hat, put on his enlightenment seeker hat.
Under the tree, he just cut his brain in half. You see,
he put on the enlightenment seeker's hat, but he cut off a bit of the wanting. That would have messed up that hat and became awake and got rid of his gambling addiction. So well done, Siddhartha.
Yeah. Sid Arthur.
Yeah.
I've nearly finished John Higgs' book. It's really, really good. You should get into that. Hold on till I find out what the actual name is. Well, it's an audio book, this one, because John reads it himself. The Future Starts Here, an optimistic's guide to what happens next. I had this in my what's the thing? My backlog in my account, whatever. But Dave Lee was saying after I was put up the Grant Morrison stuff, he's saying, "Have you checked this out?" And I haven't, obviously, because and John Higgs, as we know, wrote one of the most amazing books of all time, which is the KLF book. But it's really good, and it's proper. It's optimistic rather than forced positivity, and it goes through an awful lot of the different kind of ideas around all of that. And I don't want to say too much about it because it's worth going on the journey, man. You know,
I'd say it must be similar to that Rutger. What's his name? The one that I've told you about before.
Rutger Bregman,
Humankindness, isn't that it? That's great. It's a great book. It's really
hopeful history.
And,
no, just Humankind. Well, the one I got is Humankind: A Hopeful History. Is that right? Yeah, Rutger.
Yeah. Just a nice story of just like, okay, the world might look like shit, but actually, if you look at it a bit more closely, it's not. Like people are awesome. No, just need to give him a chance.
Kind of conclusion of John Higgs thing is he's not like, I mean, he says we're in a bad place, you know. He says, but the kind of idea that we've no solution to this is ludicrous. We've any number of solutions. We've a great number. One of them is that we can get out of all of the thing if we just allow half of the earth to be nature, do whatever it wants, and we can take over the rest. It's as if we don't have solutions for this. But there's, you know, it's kind of like, we would rather have nation states and tribalism and all die than you know, not do that.
That'll go. I think that'll go because they're already going, nation states. They're not nearly as powerful or influential as they were. Okay, you see some blocks kind of emerging, but I think those blocks will eventually just kind of revert back to what we had in the Middle Ages and the city states. Like, which isn't great either because that's when we had the most wars on the planet. But they were all short and not that many people died. No, but
relatively.
But like, look, the whole idea of nation states was bad. We should all have seen that by now.
Yeah.
You know, it just led to the most wars we've ever had.
Yeah, we still, but previous to it, we still had tribalism. You know, and we still, you know, but it was more. I suppose it was smaller. You know what I mean? It wasn't in. And we probably couldn't rally millions of people together at once in the way that we can now. But it's the thing that it's the side that came from John Higgs, Adam Curtis, or a million other things I've listened to this week. But it's talking about that we have this control mechanism set in place through society and culture that unless we have government, we're going to go into, you know, the world's going to fall apart. You're going to have tyrants coming to your door. There's going to be, you know, people taking over all of the sci-fi, you know, futuristic things we've ever seen. You know, how the world falls apart, and they kind of go, you know, when this actually happens in places, the opposite actually happens. People pull together. People start helping each other out. It's kind of, we need to have this dystopian idea that the world will fall apart without our rulers. Is the only reason why we have rulers, because you know, we've kind of in a sense bought into that lie.
Yeah. It's like the thing about like,
excuse me.
You know, like people have this thing, especially here from like evangelical Christians and stuff. They're like, well, I can go around shooting anyone, but the reason I don't is because of God. It's like, the reason is the only reason. Yeah, seriously, that's the only. You know, it's
so weird, isn't it? Like, it's
crazy.
You know, if God said it was okay, I'm shooting all these fuckers. Everyone.
Yeah. What? Like, what the fuck is wrong with your life that you want to kill people? Like, you know, what the fuck? You know, it's bizarre. You know?
No, but it's like not to say that, you know, religious or spiritual thought that has been that we've kind of had it our entirety. Maybe, but there's good evidence that we've had spiritual thought from the very early civilizations now. So it obviously has molded morality in some way. It's not that, you know, we can. It's easy to kind of say now that, oh, we don't need religion to be moral, given that we've had 30,000 years of evolving with some sort of spiritual thought. But the question of that, why I wouldn't do bad things because, you know, God will punish me, is a very questionable way to lead in your life. You know, I would do these things other than like that. It's also, that's like kind of psychotic in a way, isn't it? Like, I mean, it's like, it's totally. Well, I mean, you know, and it's like, but people are like, but I wonder though, do people actually believe that though? You know what I mean? If it really came down to it, would that be, is that really the barometer of how they're living their lives, or is that? Well,
I don't know, man. I mean, I'd say there's an awful lot of people out there who don't do stuff because of like for example, like Valenza is a former president of Poland. He lives in a big house with his wife. They live in separate parts of the house. They don't talk to each other, but they're still married. They still live together. because they're Catholic.
Right.
Fuck that.
Yeah.
You know, that's mental.
And did they both have best friends of the opposite sex that stay over?
I don't know, to be honest. No, I never went. I like him. He's not that popular in Poland because he kind of puts his foot in his mouth. But like, he's a forklift driver who brought down communism. That's pretty cool.
A good hero's journey, if ever there was one. Did he have some sort of a mystical wizard foreman on the site or something that lent him some spiritual insight halfway through? Was there a problem where his hand went missing at one stage, only to be returned in some sort of a robotic sense later?
I wonder. I must look into him a bit more. Yeah. Anyway, so I don't know. Like, I mean, you don't want to lecture people on like what they should be doing and shouldn't be doing, but it's pretty simple. Like, just be sound. You know, just try and be sound. Don't even be sound. Try and be sound.
And try not to live in fear, because fear makes us do very strange things. That's become very obvious to me. Now, obvious, that's not the word I want to use, but it's become more obvious to me, I suppose is a better way of saying it, in that how fear... it's like that thing about the Facebook, and that you can give your power away to something that isn't actually, you know, like you think, oh, the algorithm. Don't give it, you know, don't fear these things. That, you know, like you can be aware of them. It's like, that's the problem with the forced optimism of, say, the Kabbalion type thinking or New Age thinking or the law of attraction or that, is that it forces you to ignore the reality of what it is.
Yeah.
And it's not saying, and that's what I like about Adam Kurtz, is that he's not ignoring any of the reality, but it's just he's decided that his conclusion isn't going to be fear based. It's, you know, it's look at the triumph of what we have done and what we've accomplished, what we can, and given that people, for the most part, as you've pointed out, are starting out in a really good position. You know, we're trying to be good people, you know, and trying to do these things. But I suppose we can give it into fear a bit much. Spud, we watched another documentary.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
What was it called?
It's called The Witch of Kingscross. Isn't that right? Yeah.
That's, I think, right.
Yeah. And I initially thought, King's Cross, you know, London. Is it the King's Cross station? It's not London. It's in England anyway. And no, it's not Sydney. King's Cross. I'd never heard of this one before in my life.
Nope.
But a couple of people recommended the documentary to me, and that we actually got it free. I emailed
I suppose
them.
You don't talk to them anymore, do you?
They're nice people. Lou was one of them. She loved it. And Lou is always she's usually on the money. I didn't really like this documentary, but not because of the person involved, but because it was.
Wait, no. What's her name? What's the artist's name again?
Rosaline Norton.
Rosaline Norton.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, come here. You sent me this thing, and I didn't read anything about it. I just thought, okay, that sounds like a cool name. And we were sitting down on Saturday or Sunday night, and I sent it to Aga, and I says, here, have a look at this trailer. And if it's not scary, we'll watch it, because she can't watch scary stuff. Like,
right.
So, but it wasn't. It was just a documentary about an artist, and we said, okay, cool, we'll watch, because she's far more into art than I am. And fucking phone's going off. Sorry. And it's when it starts off, you're like, cool. Yeah. This is like Australia's. Alistair Crowley. Everyone says Crowley.
Yeah, that annoyed me from the outset, I have to say.
So I thought this is going to be, Australia's Crowley, and I thought, okay, this is going to be fucking kick-ass, man. She's going to weave her wand and get some sex magic going. And do you want to continue that sentence?
There's not a tremendous amount. Like at the very beginning, one of our friends said, well, she was a harmless witch because none of her magic actually worked, and you kind of go, that kind of says it all. Like there's not an awful lot of magic in it. Now, she's a great artist, like an absolutely, fabulous. There's no question about that. But there's no magic in the sense of Crowley. There's kind of magic in the sense of, say, Aunt LaVey, which I thought was the better kind of comparison, because where someone who was deliberately courting or had got a name. Crowley did this too, obviously, but Aunt LaVey, courted that thing and became the character and a kind of a caricature. And in a sense, she becomes a bit of a caricature of the witch and that kind of thing, rather than. I
think the magic was going on. I just don't think they showed it properly in this documentary at all, because it's like, you see, okay, this is going to be all about sex magic and art and cool shit like that. And then they have these really bizarre sex scenes where it's fucking weirdos doing ballet.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Pan and Lucifer.
why, why you do it? Like,
Lilith.
it's like it's made for children. Do you know what I mean? I have these innocent.
I got the not necessarily children, but I got this. It felt sanitized in a kind of like a documentary you'd watch Saturday afternoon on the History Channel. You know, like a family viewing kind of. You know, where if it was about, I don't know, serial killer, they wouldn't really talk about anyone dying. You know, it was like an A-team version of something. I just kind of felt that there was either there isn't an awful lot of story to her, or they were leaving out an awful lot of the story, or
I think they left out an awful lot.
Because
man,
I watched Talking with Gods with Grant Morrison either the same night or the next night after it, and it's exactly the same length of documentary. Like they're both 119 minutes, and there's so much more covered in the Grant Morrison one, and you feel like you've witnessed something, or you know, like you like right. I had to sit back and kind of have a look at that. Whereas in you know. There's no, you kind of. There's no depth to it. I think that's probably the.
Like it tries to make a. I think it's kind of what it wants the linchpin of it to be is two bits. First is that like she was so controversial in her time that everyone went absolutely batshit crazy about her, and then the second one is that after being labelled occultist or witch for so long, that she finally stood up and owned it, and then the media kind of lost any power they had over her, and she used it against them. Bit like Crowley, you know. Yeah.
The one thing, the horrifying thing was she was forced to burn 2 of her paintings. That's horrifying. That like what? That in the last 50 years is it that happened? Like,
just paint them again, though.
No, but I mean, it's like I know, but like, well, it's like that your creative expression is not allowed by the powers that be. You know that
you're a proper artist. You see, I'd be like, yeah, I'll just write it again. Like, burn your book, fine. I'll just write it again. It's just grand. It'll be better. It'll have less spelling mistakes.
What if you're not allowed to write it again, though? If you write it again, you're going to prison. You know.
Actually, you know what? I'll write it in prison because I'll get some fucking peace and quiet.
But that of the whole kind of thing, that was the most shocking bit of it. That I've gone like that. That's.
Do you know what? I think it is because a lot of it doesn't kind of. It's us because we're Irish, So like I don't know. I know the only person I know from Australian history is Ned Kelly. That's about it. Like, do you know? And Heath Ledger.
And an entire cast of Neighbours and Home and Away.
Yeah, well, yeah. Geez, Sally wasn't this Sally? Yeah. Sally was
and Jason.
And so like. You see, so she's someone I don't know, but I was interested to learn who she was, and the documentary just didn't really teach me much about her, except that she lived in a very conservative Australia. Australia is still pretty conservative, and it's it was very shocking at the time. She was drawing willies and boobs and all that kind of stuff. But like for us now, like I think it's hard for us now to appreciate that was such a big thing.
Yeah.
Do you know? Like, even though we know from our own culture in our own countries, like, we know it was a big thing. Oh, fucking William Butler Yeats hinted at, vag flaps or something. Do you know? And it's like, ooh, so tittillating, Yeah. But, like, all that stuff went on, but it kind of paints this picture as if, like, she's this fucking pioneer and it's the only one that ever happened to. And it's like, yeah, okay, fine. And I don't know. It's kind of like I just don't think the documentary went far enough, deep enough into it. I mean, if you're going to do the sex magic stuff, fucking show us the sex magic stuff. Don't have like college-aged professional ballet dancers gyrating each other because it's nonsense.
Yeah. And it definitely had a budget because it's shot really well. You know what I mean? Like those, and it's choreographed and there's all this kind of thing.
Like it's made really well, but it's also made really badly.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean by that. Yeah.
And I hate saying that because, like, yourself, like we've tried to work on stuff. It takes forever to do the research and do the filming and all that stuff, and it's horrible when something comes out and you're just like, I think in a sense they kind of fell prey to their own kind of premise in that they were going. They just kind of 2D'd her character into this, kind of witch caricature thing. And I'm sure she was a much more
deep character and had an awful lot more to say and had a lot more kind of experience, and and you could really into it, but it was just kind of she pretended, not even, but kind of hinted so she was a witch, and then she kind of played it up for
yeah, like it really kind of it mentions the stuff where like she would paint, she would go into a trance, and she would like what Carl Jung was doing.
Yeah,
he'd go into a trance and
she would use wine. I was going,
right.
into that.
So like she'd come out of it, and then she'd paint the figures that she had seen or spoken to or communicated with. That's fucking brilliant. Like, do a documentary about that. And they're just like, it's mentioned for a minute and it moves on. Oh, well, she drew a penis.
Yeah.
Oh, come on, like.
And when there is a biography about Neville Drury, does it, so I might try and see if I can pick it up. Like, she was big into the cliff out, which is not mentioned at all in that documentary. You know what I mean? That I can remember, anyway.
Big into what?
The cliff out, the opposite of the Tree of Life.
Sorry, yeah.
So, it felt closer to something like that, more Anton LaVey than Crowley in that kind of way, but almost as I would say that Anton LaVey was definitely knew who she was. Like there seems to be kind of echoes and stuff like that. But when you look at documentaries about Anton LaVey, which is like he's late 60s, early 70s when he kind of comes out, and you get the satanic panic more from that than you do from this documentary. You know what I mean? That the more the kind of culture, the zeitgeist, the time and the place and what was going on. You some of them, like in Satanis, you have the interview with the neighbor who's talking about him at the time. It builds the picture. A bit more or something.
I I think she would have been a pretty cool character, fucking ballsy character, because she did her first exhibition like in her first or second year of college or something like that, and she was charged with obscenity, and most people would fucking wilt like a dying flower in against the authorities, but she went to court and she's like, no, hold on a minute, I'm allowed to do this, and that's brilliant. That could have been a whole documentary, and it's just I don't know. It's just like they had all the beats, but how to say it? I think they generalized too much of everything to make it all fit in. Whereas that I don't know. I think it's a really interesting subject matter. I think it could have been handled a lot better.
Yeah, That's
maybe a sex magician or a telemite or something like that would have done it a bit better, because it kind of came across that maybe the people doing it didn't know all that much about what she was really into,
Yeah,
the sex magic is there, but it's not there enough. Yeah. And with the Anton LaVey stuff, and I didn't like those parts of the Anton LaVey stuff. I found it kind of boring to boobies, whatever. But in this one, no, actually, I kind of want the boobies.
I know what you mean.
Does that make sense? Because it doesn't. It says she was into it, but it shows these weird pantomime ballet stuff. It's that's not sex magic. That's weird.
It just felt very surface level, the entire thing, and but I mean, it's a well-made documentary. It's it's on Amazon Prime. I don't know if you have to pay for that or it becomes as part of the subscription. They did send it to us for free, so thanks for that. So the very first documentary we get for free, and we shit all over it. That's how we are. Yeah,
shame, because I did. She sent a book as well to Carl Jung. I thought the individuation stuff was brilliant. She was, it's just like what I do when meditating. I go into a trance and I talk to whoever shows up. Ask them their name first. You have to do that. Make sure and do that, because they won't tell you their names if they're baddies. I've learned. But that's so cool that she did that, and she would draw stuff from that, and that was her inspiration. She had this kind of obsession about the duality and the polar opposites of things. The good is in the bad is in the good, and then they come together and they're one. What's it? 1 + 1 is 2 is 1. Isn't that it? 1 + 1 is 2 is 1 or something. I don't remember. And it's that kind of stuff's fascinating. It's brilliant. And it's just, And then she went to live with a gay poet. It's so fucking what?
Yeah.
But the poet, as well, I know watching it, is that we live in, we're nearly 100 years later when, this stuff, well, is this stuff still controversial? I suppose it is. I mean, they have this thing in Poland here in January. They do this collection for hospital charities, and there was some kerfuffle about. You can see it. It's on DeviantArt. If you look up Virgin Mother or Virgin Mary and Kermit, it's the Virgin Mary holding Kermit as the baby Jesus, and it's cool. Right. It's cute, you know. And so some people got in trouble with that in Catholic Poland, but like I don't know how much trouble it was. It made the news, but that doesn't really mean anything when you have like 4 or 5 channels of 24-hour rolling news kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it's just a little bit hard for us to really identify with how much of a kerfuffle she would have made at the time, because for us now it's just like, yeah, sure, willies, you know, willies are everywhere.
And I suppose her being a woman too. I mean, Austin Osman Spar did equally. I was going to say vulgar. That's not the word I mean. Seemingly risky. Vulgar. Paintings, you know, in the early 20th century, and so like it's like. Maybe it was more because he wasn't as well known or didn't, you know, kind of court the kind of media as much. But it didn't seem. It seemed probably maybe more allowable because he was a man or something. I don't know. I mean, they're all kind of factors that have to come into it too. Obviously, I have to make a point, but I think she's fascinating, and I would love to know more about her. It's more just the actual documentary rather than her story or her.
I'm the same.
And it's definitely. It's not the worst documentary I've ever seen. It's definitely worth your time. I just came away feeling unfulfilled. I think that's the
it's kind of like, it's like you read a trivia book about something, but you'd have preferred the novel. That kind of way. And it's I think she would have been a cool cat, all right, but. Yeah, I don't know. You can hear what the problems were. Like, I really wanted to like it. I really did want to like it. You know, I really wanted. I thought this was Australia's Crowley, and she was going to be.
And maybe she is. Like, I mean, possibly she quite is. It's just that's not what.
Well, I don't know. One of them says, one of the guy, the art dealer in the pink shirt, I think, or the red shirt, I don't remember. Maybe there's something wrong with my telly. And he says that, like, she's not well known. What? So like, all this documentary on someone who, okay, cool. You want to bring her back and make her more well known. Cool. So. Yeah.
Anyway.
Watch it or don't.
Yeah, well, links will be in the show description. Maybe. No, there will be. I'm getting better at that.
She had a mummified hoof. Did you hear that bit?
I don't think so.
Where does one procure a mummified hoof?
eBay? eBay now. Like, what was the equivalent? I don't know. I did enjoy all the pan stuff too as well, I should mention. Like, I mean, I did. That's obviously leans towards my kind of areas, but I kind of I feel like talking about it brought us a bit down. I feel a bit deflated by it. Any jokes? Tell us me jokes, Spud. Tell me a good joke. Get me back. Get my energy going again.
No. I mean, just on it again. Like the way that she took on the media and won and made them kind of work for her. That's brilliant. Do you know that she did that? But there's no, I don't know. It just doesn't get across properly. So I don't know. I don't know. There's so many things could have been great about it, and it just didn't work. No, I told you my Buddhist theory, didn't I? So he was a gambler and a womanizer, obviously, and a drinker. That's why he had to give up all those things. No, what else? I'm not really to tell you, man. I'm still reading the same couple of books, so I'm trying to get my way through them.
Are you going? I suppose we could go. Are you going to do the sigil thing? What's your thoughts on it?
Oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, but what was confusing me was the. No, I know what shoaling is. Shoaling is when you have 4 or 5 sigils and they're all connected to one big higher goal. Yeah,
it can be. It's doing. A number of sigils together that in some way energetically by doing them together connects them, so that if you have
it connects them to each other and it's not to something higher, not to
doesn't
something
have
bigger.
to be. No, doesn't have. It
can be.
Yeah, you can do whatever, but it doesn't have to. It's like if you have, say you did 4 sigils, 5 sigils, and you have one to do with work, one is to do with your wife, one is to do with writing or something, that they seem to in some way the synchronicities around them, even though they seem like separate things, will seem to work together. And then the idea of the robo-fish is you do a sigil for something that you then make happen, and that kickstarts the other thing. But of course you can do them for like as a team. You know, these are all about house. This is all about work. This is whatever it is.
That's kind of what I have already most of them done, except the air ones. For some reason, I skipped air. Even though I wrote it out on the first page, I totally forgot to do them on the rest one. And now that it's 40 days, say I was going to do it I was just going to do it Monday to Friday, because I can't do weekends. I'm too busy with the young lads.
Yeah.
Monday to Friday. So how many weeks is that? I have no idea. So I think I'm missing a few, but I'll do them tonight.
Well,
And,
you'll end up with 33 then, right? Because if there's 46 days, you're not doing Sundays. So that's, and then, so 34.
34. Okay, so I need a few more. But fine. What's the thing? The first one you said about making something happen. That's like
the Robofish. The Robofish.
Robofish. Is that not kind of cheating?
Isn't magic cheating?
No.
Well, explain why it's cheating then.
I'm not sure. I haven't thought about this properly.
Is your Catholic guilt coming in that you need to work for this?
I mean, so it's like, so a sigil is for something that I want help with achieving. You get me?
No, the sigil is for something that you want to happen, not help with achieving. You want this to happen. This is my intent. I want this to happen in the world. You're not asking the spirit to help you. You're putting it out there that you want to see this change in the world.
Really?
Yeah. Because otherwise it's not a prayer.
Why is it that way?
Because it's not a prayer, it's not an invocation, it's not an evocation, it's not a petition.
So this is why none of my sigils have ever worked.
I'm sure they have worked. I know they've worked because you've told me ones that worked. No, believe whatever you want and do whatever you want. If it works for you, that's, if a sigil is a petition and you're asked for help, then, great. But it's like sigils are, you're putting something into, the moment of gnosis where, you're one with the big thing and you're putting it in and you're now kind of sticking this program into the matrix and it now has to, it has to manifest.
I've been thinking about these wrong then the whole time.
Right. So no, I understand you're cheating because if you're asking someone to do something and then you do something, yeah. But no, if you're coming from the point of view of I as the magician, I'm changing the world. I have decided that this is what the world needs, and I'm injecting my will and my desire into the world as something that should happen.
Nice.
So therefore, if you have the Robofish, is the idea of that. I want 5 things to happen, 4 of which are, I want to happen, but I can't see a way of happening. Say, just for this example, and one of them I definitely can because it's something really simple. It's like I am going to drink coffee, whatever. I'm going to eat food. I'm going to have pasta for dinner, whatever it is. So when that happens, it's because you're all energetically connected that it makes the energy go into the other ones more. So, this movement has started. If this one's working, then, the kind of momentum starts. That's the idea of it. That's my reading of what it is anyway. So,
how did I get all that wrong?
So what exactly what did you think exactly was happening when you did a sigil then?
I thought it was like a Hail Mary, in the quarterback in American football. It's the last throw of the dice.
Who were you sending the sigil to?
Anyone, whoever listens.
Right.
Yeah.
And so we're kind of seeing it as the thing of last resorts kind of thing, rather than an expression.
Not last resort, but a long shot. I'm playing golf for a hole in one kind of thing. It's kind of thing. Right. Well, I don't really have much of a chance of getting this. Well, I do. I have a chance of getting it, but I need a hand.
Well, I mean,
that's the way I saw it.
It's like if it is probability enhancement, let's say it is that's what magic is. Then, in a sense, that is true. In that you're going, I need a hand to reduce this. But I suppose it's just more, it sounds more like you've personified it than than you have that it's that you've in some way you're standing in front of the saints Padre Pio statue, go, oh please heal my mammy, or it's like as if there's you're in a sense where I see sigils as a me doing it. I have the power. It's in the sense that you're going to someone and go, will you do this for me?
I've been asking Santi Santi, can I have some Hot Wheels at Christmas please? What do you mean no? What the fuck?
Yeah.
Fucking pedo.
Going into children's well, it doesn't come into children's bedrooms. I don't know. Oh, because that's the code. He has to stay a certain distance away from children. We're going dark again.
Okay, no, that's it. That's interesting. And it's weird, like the amount of stuff that I've read on him, still never.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That you have to be wary of, that if you have a previous kind of idea, or a presupposition, like that word about going into something, that how it then just affects everything you read, because you've already decided something, and you go, and then but that's probably when you're reading something, you read it 10 times, you go, oh no, that isn't what he meant. This it's something twists in your brain, and because you've dropped your kind of idea about it.
Yeah. But this changes. Yeah. Well, it actually just doesn't change much on my list, to be honest, because I have what I have is much more. I did do them more in a thing that is definitely more reachable by me doing stuff. Right. Definitely this time, rather than the hitting and hoping and getting the new Land Rover, because that's not really going to happen.
You mean you don't want to be king of the moon?
I meant the car, you idiot.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
The Mars Rover. Have you yours ready? Have you started?
I'm doing one a day.
You're going to do them just every day,
yeah? Yeah, and do it by because to go on a journey, man, to see where it goes. I have an idea of of the overall goal is to re-enchant my world. So I mean that's to do practical magic, because I haven't done so much magic, because I've been hanging around with the Magia type thought for so long, which doesn't have a practical magic other than the binding thing, which is arguably practical magic, but not in the way Sigil is practical magic. So it's to re-enchant and to magic up again. But and
are yours are like all of your Earth ones? Are they all? Are you linking them together?
Well, they will be linked together by the theme of them being Earth. So that's the linkage. But no, I haven't thought more than that. It's not that say all my Earth ones are going to be about money. No, I haven't. That's not. They may ultimately end up being possibly, but no. And I kind of
it got me thinking this morning, and I put a thing on one of the Facebook fucking mythology or druidry groups, and I was thinking, right, so if you got like the Irish pantheon of the Celtic gods, where do they fit into the 5 elements? Because the Celts they didn't really do this, Some people say they did, some people say they didn't. And so, it'd be interesting to see what people come back to me with stuff and say where I'm wrong and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. Or like if they add, like I asked, if you think I'm wrong on something, change it around. Or like, could you put in the Gaulish ones and Britannic ones, because like they have kick-ass gods like Crononos, like we don't have him. Yeah. We don't have a nature god. It's mad. The Irish,
No, well, there's Hearn and that, but that's more kind of Anglicized. Yeah. That's more of an English thing. We must do. Who is our horn god then?
No, there isn't one. There's just a kind of like
Cernunnos isn't it?
Yeah, but he's only mentioned in one Irish book, I think.
Right. Okay.
And it's but so many of them were river and hill spirits anyway. Didn't we need one kind of thing, I don't know. It's mad. The more you read on it, the more kind of confused you get. Because no one knows.
Yeah, well, no, and it's a kind of speculation of someone reading into it. But like that, you would hope, you would assume that you eventually start seeing a theme or a thread or some sort of thing. Yeah. Or you just.
Well, I know Danu was gone. Danu has died for me. She's just gone. Right. Oh yeah, it's just like that's just.
Is that just an Irish version of Diana or something? Is it that?
It's just she wasn't who we're led to believe she was. She there might.
You could say that about literally every god.
Every god. No, but like there's this idea that she was the mother goddess, and like she wasn't like at all.
Right.
She might have been a local kind of mountain god down in Kerry or Kerry, but she's certainly not. And this is the modern research on her. Like she's just not who we've led to believe she is.
But what about then you have the things like the idea of like Saint Cyprian, right? I know you don't go with it, but like he definitely didn't exist. But seems to work quite well for people, So
I mean, look, it's the same. I've spoken to people about this, and like they say, but she works for me, and whatever, that's cool and all. But it's like my problem with the Ohm,
or the runes,
using Ohm runes as magic divination, because I'm from there, and I know that's what they weren't used for.
Yeah,
but like I'm still going to buy some hazel and make my own and see how I get on with it.
Yeah,
to really see, you know, the runes as well. Like the thing with the runes for me, and I said this before, is that like I kind of have a bit of a problem with like going from, okay, like we obviously use the Latin language in English, Irish, and the bit of Polish I know. So like for me, a letter just signifies a letter, you know, and it's hard for me to say, well, this is the Ohm, whatever, B, and represents birch, and birch is the first sapling it means new beginnings. Yeah, because it's the first one.
But you're also into Kabbalah, so you also know that the you know, those the words do behave in exactly the way the runes word.
No, I know.
Do. So it's like
just a mental block of like, because like I'm actually more open to the runes being used as it, because it has more of a tradition of it being used, even though it wasn't used back then by the Vikings for it.
That we know of. We don't know what to do.
That we know of.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's like, the same with the. I mean, like with the Ohm stuff is mad because there's only one single piece of evidence, and it's not proper evidence. There's not that long ago they dug up a druid's grave somewhere in England. I don't remember, Cornwall or somewhere in the south anyway. And they dug him up and they found that beside him there were 4 metal rods, or 3 metal rods, or maybe it doesn't matter. There's a few metal rods, but like if you're divining with metal rods, that's I Ching. That's not Ohm. You know. And like I Ching's the oldest one that we know of that, you know, it doesn't kill animals. You know, so it's like, and that's what the Celts did. The Celts would ritually sacrifice an animal, and they'd read the entrails and be like, yes, he's going to be the king, or I'm going to score that hot blonde Colleen or whatever. You know, I had to kill a cow to do it, so that's obviously going to impress her. You know, imagine what a fucked up world that would have been. Hey baby, I'm a druid, I'm going to kill a cow for you.
Yeah, but it's the whole idea of sacrifice is very interesting thing in that we have it is in that as humans it's a kind of a unique thing that we have, that where we can realize we can do something in the now that will affect the later, whereas other animals don't seem to have that seems to be some sort of part of why humans are different from you know, other animals, that we've at some point learned to delay gratification, and that at the
time they learned it. Humans now with the power of murder.
yeah. Well, I suppose, like, just as I was saying that, I suppose, but like animals that hibernate do, you know, they build up food and stuff like that. So there is some sort of point that they must know. But I think that's probably more an instinct than a conscious decision that I can not have drink now and have a lot of drink later, or whatever it is. You know, I can not spend this and have something later. That is, I suppose, the kind of point, and that's with the sacrifice then of how that then leads to, I suppose, I love God so much that, you know, it's like the Lent thing of giving up the thing or whipping yourself. I love God so much that this chicken that means so much to me and makes my life a bit more comfort, I'm going to give up to honor. Like, you can see how it gets there. You know, it's an odd kind of a.
It's like Adam Curtis, isn't it? The road to hell. Paved with good intentions.
Good intentions. Yeah.
No, I don't know. I mean, I'll look up, because I know one thing for sure from the research is that the hazelwood was the holiest of the woods for the druids. It's not, everyone thinks it's the oak, because there was some mistranslation many years ago about the root of the word druid means oak, right. And that's not what it meant at all. It meant the strong or wise one, or the leader. And actually a lot of the legends in the Gaelic Celtic stuff revolve around hazelnuts, hazel trees. Like the salmon of knowledge ate hazelnuts.
Oh, right, okay.
And he's not the only animal that ate the hazelnuts and got smart. And then there's loads of stories about hazels, far more than about other trees. So it seems to be this was the tree, okay, the main tree of the thing. But like, I don't know, but it's fun learning. It's fun to learn about stuff, you know. So if anyone wants to buy a set of Ohm staves, I'll even do a sigil, you know. No worries. Right, Tommie?
Right.
Bye-bye.
Bye.